Welcome to the Refund Rumble. You are looking at the ultimate showdown between the unstoppable force of the bargain hunter and the immovable object of store policy. Step into any department store and you're entering a battleground. Shop owners are guarding their margins, while angry customers are fighting for every last cent over the most mundane items. On one side of the counter, you have the extreme shopper. Their primary goal is simple: acquire massive volumes of goods, sweatshirts, souvenirs, electronics, while fiercely resisting the sticker price. On the other side, you have the cashier. They operate in a state of profound annoyance, dealing with people who pile up a mountain of merchandise but mysteriously lack the actual funds to pay for it. Every transaction at the register hinges on a high-stakes negotiation, where victory goes to the person who knows how to demand exactly what they want. Round 1 kicks off at the register. The customer aggressively unloads an impossibly large, chaotic pile of souvenirs and office supplies right onto the counter. The cashier immediately launches into an interrogation about the exact count of the physical items. They want to know exactly how many postcards are sitting in that massive stack. The customer gets defensive. They justify the sheer volume by explaining they need a few postcards for every single person in their vast social network. Unfazed, the cashier shifts tactics and zeroes in on an uncountable substance buried in the pile. They demand to know exactly how much pain reliever the customer is trying to buy. The customer argues they only need a little bit of aspirin, just enough to survive the sheer stress of the shopping experience. This physical disparity defines the logic of the rumble, where a mountain of individual paper is counted by the piece, while a tiny box is measured by the sheer volume of its contents. The argument migrates to the clothing racks, narrowing down to a single, highly contested jacket the customer is desperately trying to return. The core complaint is direct. The jacket is entirely too large. Its physical dimensions vastly exceed the customer's actual size. The cashier pushes back aggressively. They refuse to accept blame for the fit, insisting the fault lies entirely with the customer, simply not being tall enough for the garment. The customer lays out their precise demands for a replacement. They want reduced dimensions, and they want it to look significantly better than the original. The cashier issues their ultimate counteroffer. They present a garment with a perfect fit, but it comes attached to a much steeper financial penalty. Every clothing return is a trade-off, balancing the physical flaws of one item against the financial cost of an upgrade. The battle returns to the register. The cashier hits a few buttons and aggressively reveals the exorbitant final tally for the transaction. Panic sets in. The customer flips open their wallet, only to find their physical cash reserves are critically insufficient. The cashier seizes the upper hand, demanding an alternative, electronic form of payment to cover the massive deficit. Desperate to save the purchase, the customer pulls out foreign currency, requesting to know the current exchange rate. The cashier shuts it down instantly. They enforce a strict store policy: local tender or major electronic cards only. No exceptions. Because even if you win the negotiations over size, quality, and quantity, the entire shopping trip falls apart if you cannot produce the correct format of money. So we reach the final climax. Defeated by strict store policy, the customer finally submits and hands over their debit card. The machine chimes, the funds are approved, and the printer spits out the final, binding receipt. The tension breaks. Looking at the bag, the customer finds a weird sense of satisfaction. They paid a premium, sure, but they secured a superior item that actually fits. The cashier sighs with a weary dismissal. They formally close out the interaction, already calling for the next challenger in line. To survive these chaotic environments, you have to master the specific language of comparison, quantity, and payment. At least, that is what you should expect on the sales floor. This concludes your Junk Mart employee training simulation.